As I said, for me, it's وَمَا تِلْكَ بِيَمِينِكَ يَا مُوسَى, even though the whole passage is incredible. I do share what Sana said, even though Allah knows what it is. He's asking Moses, what is it? And just to give a bit of context, with Ibrahim alayhi salam, we see the formation of a thinker, of a critical thinker. So throughout the Quran, Ibrahim comes across as someone that Allah prepares in terms of critical thinking, destroying the idols of that lie and reside in people's minds. We've said probably last, I don't know, a couple of days ago perhaps, that when there are idols in every society, and with those idols you have different responses from people. There are people who don't have a sense of responsibility, they wouldn't react, they would just, it's nothing to do with us, let people believe in what they believe. You have someone who actually keeps away from that, say, okay, I'm not going to engage. There are people who engage despite knowing that this is wrong. And you have people who say, okay, who avoid that practice, but they haven't done anything about it. Ibrahim alayhi salam does not just remain, does not just verbally critique that, but he actually takes action. So that he gets introduced as one of the most critical thinkers in the entirety of the Quran. With Musa alayhi salam, so with Ibrahim, we see the formation of a thinker. I guess with Musa alayhi salam, we see the formation of a leader. A leader who doesn't aspire to be a leader. And Musa alayhi salam doesn't think I'm qualified enough. Give it to my brother. As we said before, last week, in Surah Al-Shu'ara, he said, I don't think I'm qualified, give it to my brother Harun, he's more qualified. He's older, he's more eloquent, he's more fluent, he is, in so many senses, he's more appealing to the people. I'm not. But Allah says, no, I make out of you someone who changes the civilization of the day. And that's a really big thing. And Musa alayhi salam in the Quran is the most mentioned prophet ever. 125 times Musa alayhi salam is mentioned. So we see the formation of a leader. And when I thought, وَمَا تِلْكَ بِيَمِينِكَ يَا مُوسَى, and I tried to relate this to the idea of leadership. The first thing that really strikes me about that is, first of all, before I come to this, thinkers and leaders, they are both reformers. Reformers means Muslihin, right? They reform how people live and think. That's why when Musa alayhi salam killed that Egyptian 10 years back in Surah Al-Qasas, and he was on the verge of fighting against the second one, the man said to him, إِن تُرِيدُ إِلَّا أَن تَكُونَ جَبَّارًا فِي الْأَرْضِ وَمَا تُرِيدُ أَن تَكُونَ مِنَ الْمُصْلِحِينَ. You want to be an oppressor on earth, and you don't have interest in being a reformer, a Muslim. Thinkers are reformers, leaders are reformers. And as we said before, the Quran differentiates between being salih and being Muslim. A salih is a good person, righteous person. A Muslim is someone who is not just a salih, is not just righteous, but he actually tries to fix others, tries to perfect others after perfecting themselves. Right? Even though this is an ongoing journey, it's not like an event or something. So, how do they start? Those Muslimun, those reformers. In today's life, we are often critical of things. So many things. I don't like the way the mosque runs. I don't like the way my boss is being told. I don't like whatever. Right? Okay, and then I ask you, what is your proposal? How do I fix this? You tell me, okay, people would have different views. Like, I want to get a bigger masjid. I want to have better people running the university. Someone better able to teach that course. Right? Okay, I tell you, well, we can't afford this. We don't have the money for that. So the question of resources comes back. And at this point, the vast majority of people would pause, stop. This is beyond us. To get a bigger masjid, we need millions and millions of money, right? We don't have that, khalas. As if we didn't have this conversation, because it's beyond us. I can't really impose anything on my university because they employed this lecturer, has qualifications even though he's not the best teacher, but he's been employed by the university, he's been interviewed, and he went through a process of, he's been chosen for a good reason, because of their qualifications. What do I do? Khalas, I remain silent, because it's beyond me. And that's where the reform dies out at this stage. So it's not enough for one to have an open eye. It is not enough to identify what the problem is. So here we have people who identify that there is a problem. We have a problem with this course. We have a problem, the masjid is not spacious enough. The only solution I have is to change the lecturer at uni or to find a bigger masjid. Those two options are beyond me. I do so. Allah doesn't want us to be like that. Muslihun don't give up. They use the most basic things they have. The most basic things they have. As if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding us, and by way of teaching Musa alayhi salam, with that one single thing that you have in your hand. Think of the word, what is in your hand, not in its literal meaning, but also in terms of its metaphorical meaning. As in, what do you have in your hand now? What resources do you have? So I have the most basic resource. It's just my stuff. It says, this very little stuff will be the first weapon with which you're going to be destroyed from. And Musa, when he said he doesn't see in this stuff nothing but, he names things. أهش بها على غنمي أتوكل عليها, I lean on it. وأهش بها على غنمي, I guide my sheep with it. And I have some other uses for it. He had no idea that this very stuff would be the change maker. Right? But Allah opened Moses' eyes to something that maybe he hasn't thought of it before. The very basic thing, everyone has it. I didn't see what the value of it is. Right? So Allah says to him, Alqiha, it becomes a snake. Throw it down, it becomes a snake. Through this snake, you're going to be fighting the magicians of Fir'aun in that elitist city back in Manf, according to most of the historians in Egypt. And your own hand, everyone has a hand. That's your miracle. If you use this, you know why is it for, how we may make use of it. The change you're going to be introducing is through how you use the most basic resources that you have. And Musa is engaged. If you ask me today, what is in your hand? I might actually be too arrogant to engage with this. I'm not stupid, like everyone knows this is a pen. And everyone knows I write with it. That's it. Musa is engaged. And he talks as if Allah doesn't know. And he talks, honestly, think of a kid. If you ask a kid, what is with you in your hand? So that this is a ball, I play with it, I take it, but they engage. Musa is literally doing the same thing. Right? And he's counting the usages of it. So the first thing that we get to learn here is that sense of, you may call it self-awareness. As a Muslim, I need to be aware, what do I have now? What are the resources that I have? One can dream of things like, I wish I had £1 million. I could actually employ the better lecturer. I wish I had 2 million, I could have bought a bigger masjid. Right? These are dreams. Can take years and years for you to, if you really serious about it, they can take years and years. But the first point is self-awareness. What do I have? As if Allah is asking Moses to think about this, to reflect. What resources do I have? I have a very basic resource. It doesn't get even more basic. You know, the famous Algerian philosopher Malik bin Nabi, who died in 1973, talks about 3 elements with which any civilization rises. The first one is al-insan, the human himself, Homo sapiens. Do you know what Homo sapiens means? What does it mean literally?
5 fingers?
Huh?
5 fingers, was it?
5 fingers. No.
One.
Homo is human.
Yeah.
Sapiens, what does it mean? Sapiens is the known human, who knows things. Right? So that insan is the beginning of any civilization. So the known man, literally, but the known human is a more common translation today. So the first element is al-insan. And then he says al-waqt, time. You need time. 3 said it's at-turab, dust. As in, the most basic thing that you can own, it's nothing. As if Malik bin Nabi is trying to say, you know, everyone has those most basic resources. You have your own self, and you can make time if you wish. We always have time whenever we want. And at-turab, the most basic thing. If those 3 combinations work together, they can definitely make a civilization. At least they can make a change at an individual level. And if you get more people who are aware of this combination, they can definitely make a nation stand. Right? So the Muslim is aware of the basic resources that they have. But how they make use of it is a big one. And we can actually ask ourselves this very question. You know, perhaps to me, I read it this way, like as if Allah is telling Moses, is teaching Moses how to be a leader by those things. Think and actually revisit, re-examine the ordinary things that you have. Those ordinary things can change into extraordinary things if you just know how to use them. For the vast majority of people, you know, they don't see things, they don't see the invisible things behind the objects they see. But leaders don't. Leaders can identify, you know, the potentials that, you know, that other people would have. You know, I can see that there's a gift in this man. If he only uses it, if he only works on it, that can change that person from a person of potentiality to a person of actuality. Actualizes the potentials that he has or that she has. That's what leaders do. They put your hand on yourself, on your own gifts, on your own capacities, on your own hidden talents. So as if Allah is telling Musa alayhi salam, do not see only the external side of things, but, you know, see what they hold, the value they hold, which, you know, many people won't see. So if you may think about this through the prism or through the lens of leadership, the idea of self-awareness is an important one, and I have to become aware of the resources that I have. And every age, every generation will have its own resources, but every one of us literally has resources. But we don't reflect on that. That's why I talked in the very beginning when someone has raised this one, I called it the power of reflection. Asking Musa to reflect on what do I have? What is in my hand now? As it says in the famous hikmah, do whatever you can with what you have where you are. Do whatever you can with what you have, where you are, wherever you are. Otherwise, you can always be dreaming things. I wish I had this, I wish I had that, but it never happens. Everyone will always have wishes. So the power of reflection, I need to reflect on what I have now, currently, and I can use towards achieving what I aim to achieve. So that's self-awareness. But also the idea of re-examining the basic stuff that we have, re-examination. Just apply this to oneself. What am I good at? What do I take for granted? But if I use it more cautiously or consciously, things could change. But also, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is preparing Musa for a heavy task. We have 2 pages in Surah Taha where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is preparing Musa gradually. This, we don't know how many days, during how many days did this happen, this conversation go. Musa discovering this fire, checking it up, having this conversation with Allah. How many days, Allah Alam, how many years, Allah Alam. Could be within a couple of minutes, we have no idea. But Allah has prepared Moses by engaging with him actually. That engagement, that sense of gradualism. Allah, we believe Allah is the most powerful, right? He could have said to Moses, go ahead, I'll be with you. Allah didn't do that. But he said, I will address you fees first. And I will show you, your own key resources. And I will teach you that sense of gradualism. I will engage with your own concerns before I send you to Fir'aun. Again, that sort of gradual engagement, gradual preparation of Musa alayhi salam before that hefty task. So I honestly read a lot in that beginning question, وَمَا تِلْكَ بِيَمِينِكَ يَا Musa. As Salman said, Allah knows what is it. It's a very basic thing. You could actually cheapen the question and say, what is this? That's a useless question. Actually, Musa engages because he knows there is something behind this. And it is, I look at it this way. Allah is alerting Musa that extraordinary things can come out of the ordinary things that one has. If only we just reflect and try to make do with whatever we may have.